Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live show. We'll be going through and answering all of your questions about the 2022-2023 season. And please keep those comments coming in because I want to answer as many as I can. I have a full list available to me right here, like 400 plus questions that you asked in the preseason survey that I put out. But if you have a question right now, no matter what it is, I want to know. Are you curious? Can Penn State have another 5-time year with individual champions? What's going on with AJ Ferrari and Gable Steveson? What is happening with Ohio State? Like Carson Hartzell just got upset. If you have a question, I want you to answer that. So, welcome everybody to tonight's show. It's very exciting tonight because I just released the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season, and I'll be honest, it's very exciting. You know, this is something I've been working on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now it is finally here. I'm gonna get the guide right here, and that is the guide to the season. This is you see right now that there's a not for resale on that. That's because this is kind of the author's copy of of the guide, but you can actually get your guide today listed in the description. But let's put that aside for now and start going through some of these questions. I already see Tillman is in the chat. Tillman 999. Who do you think is going to take over the NCAA heavyweight scene now that Gable Steveson is gone? Well, Tillman, thanks for your question right now. And who's going to take over? I mean, it's tough to say exactly. Right now, Colton Schultz is at the top of the pack. I mean, he's the national finalist last year of Arizona State, and I threw out the schools because sometimes people don't know all the where every single guy is from or the school or whatever, this or that. But anyway, Colton Schultz already has wins over some of the other top guys in the weight. Mason Paris, Greg Kirkfleet. He actually majored him a couple of seasons ago. The only guy who doesn't really have a win over is Anthony Cassiope. Cassiope actually beat him twice at nationals, but Cassiope has problems of his own, and the Big Ten has problems of its own as far as everybody that's the circle that's gone in there. If you haven't seen my videos on that, I talk about what's happening with heavyweights, but basically Anthony Cassiope has wins over Greg Kirkfleet. Kirkfleet has wins over Paris. Paris has wins over Cassiope. It's a complete circle that just keeps going on, and we'll see if that ends up getting broken this year. So let's keep those comments coming in. And tonight I have something a little bit different planned too, because one of the questions I have is who are the top 25 teams? And I'm super excited to show you who those top teams are, brought to you by the Ultimate Guide. But first, let's take a couple more questions. The Savage Bear Dude says, what up? What up, the Savage Bear Dude? It's awesome to see you. The Savage Bear Dude, I wonder if you're one of those guys who fought off that grizzly bear attack a couple weeks ago. How crazy is that? Kamikaze Kid 76 says, Mason Paris had a good chance to get a title. Yeah, he does have a good chance to get the title. I would not be shocked if Mason Paris won. He is the other returning national finalist at heavyweight along with Colton Schultz. And while we're waiting for some more people to join in for questions to come in, I'm curious, where is everybody watching from tonight? Are you watching from Pennsylvania? You watching from Ohio? You watching from California? Where are you watching right now? Right now, I am in North Carolina. And so on the East Coast, and I know some of you are just getting off of work now. And so I welcome you to this stream and joining in. One of the fun things that I actually did in my guide talking about the different states was I actually put together these teams for every single different state and like kind of a bracket. And what's up, Tyler Durden from Pennsylvania? Awesome to see you here, man. I actually put together a team California, a team Iowa, a team Illinois, team New Jersey for you Jersey boys. Had to put that one in there. Team Ohio and team PA. And you see here, I have this bracket with like how the teams would come out. And Team Pennsylvania gets that like bye at the top because they have the most like highest place ranked guys. Team Illinois is second. Team Illinois, to be honest with you, kind of surprised me how darn good they are. Illinois, I mean, some of the guys that they have, Mikhail McGee, Austin Gomez, Will Awan, Dean Hamidi, Jacob Warner. This is a top team, man. Team PA, of course, has like Spencer Lee, Mickey Philippi, Cole Matthews, Sammy Sasso. I mean, it's a top team. Alberto is already saying he's psyched for Team California, who's guys like Kyle Parco, Isaac Olenek, Kale Valencia. What a team. And I see even more people coming into the comments. And welcome, everybody. Welcome, Christian Mason. I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. Today's a fantastic day, Christian, because I just released my ultimate guide. Nick Sanchez watching from California. What's up, Nick? All the way out on the West Coast. Jason Brantley watching from Iowa. Awesome to see you from out there, man. D. Gonzo from Washington. Kamikaze Kid, another Iowa guy. Ernie guy is representing Delaware. Don't see a lot of Delaware in the chat. So I want to welcome everybody tonight to the show. What questions do you have right now? I'm going to start out with a couple at the top. And then we're going to get into some of these team rankings because I have this fun whiteboard set up behind me. And I know you're waiting for those. And some of the questions initially, like if you've been a part of the pre-launch of my ultimate guide, you already saw my other video on all the frequently asked questions, but I wanted to go through a few here. So first of all, what's going on with AJ Ferrari? And that's the question that I get very, very often. What's up with Ferrari? And he has been dealing with a whole calamity of issues over the last couple of months, over the past year, really. I mean, since January. So he won his national title in 2021, the Oklahoma State Cowboy, or former Oklahoma State Cowboy, 2021. And he was looking like he could be a four-timer. Like, he was that good. Still probably is pretty darn good. Then in January, he was having an undefeated season, and then all of a sudden got into a bad car accident at the end of January, which ended his season. And, you know, say what you want about him. I was hoping that he was going to be able to come back from that. And it was looking like he probably would after surgery, after some things he was going through. But then he was released from Oklahoma State's roster in July of this past year, 2022. And, you know, it's a shame that he's going through some legal battles. And listen, he was supposed to have some sort of court date in September. I am not a lawyer. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of everything that was done, everything that's against him, for him. Look, he's had some legal battles that he's dealing with. He's off of Oklahoma State's team based on social media, which is what I'm going off of. He's been training with his brother, his younger brother. So it's looking like he's training him up. He's been doing some MMA. I really doubt we're going to see him back in college wrestling. We see BDBL says AJ ain't coming back for sure. He'll go fight or WWE after everything that happened. Yeah, I could see WWE being another route for him. Maybe we see him fight Gable Steveson in the future. Falcon the Wrestler said, hope AJ can get back on the mat. He's a beast. Yeah, I hope he does too. Jason says, oh yeah, I forgot about the car accident. Yeah, with everything that happened with him over the past year, it's like, you forget about some of the things that happen. And then the next question that comes up, and by the way, submit your questions right now in the comments. What question do you have about the season? I'm going to put them up on the screen and answer them throughout the night for as long as I can go. But the next question I get a lot is, what's up with Gable Steveson? Well, he won his second NCAA title, of course, this past March with the Minnesota Gophers, won his second Hodge Trophy at heavyweight, and he left his shoes in the middle of the mat. And that seemed to be it for him. You know, that was the end of Gable Stevenson's college career. Oh, he retired. But then he started teasing things on social media, maybe saying, oh, I may come back. You may see me. The funny thing is, a couple of those captions, he's changed. Like, he'll put it out there and then he'll change it. So, like, you can't always find it. But one of the things that happened recently was in September, he dealt with a heart procedure. He had an ablation. Listen, again, I said I'm not a lawyer when I was talking about Ferrari. I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I know nothing about a lot of medical terms, but I do know he had a heart procedure, which seemed to be fairly non-complicated. Like he was able to deal with it and move on. And what he said when he was talking with ESPN, who's doing this whole article on it, is that he's going to full-time train with WWE. Now, the other thing in the article is said that the WWE actually set up an entire training facility for him, remote training facility in Florida. And based on that, they're not just going to set up some remote training facility for some schmuck who's not going to end up doing anything. Like the WWE is big time, man. I mean, I'm not a fan of it just because I never really watched it, but I know that it's the big time. By the way, right now, comment, are you a WWE fan? Yes or no? Are you a fan of the WWE? I am not. I'm just interested to see how many people will end up watching Gable Steveson. Now, with that being said, he said he was training full-time WWE. He's 100% invested in that. And so I don't see him coming back to college wrestling. I think he's just keeping up the hype, the promotion. I know there were some things going on. Like somebody emailed me the other day, said on Flow Wrestling Radio Live, they were talking about maybe 50% he comes back in January. I give it like 5% chance. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Minnesota keeps hyping it up because they lost their best guy they've ever had. I mean, okay, I know they've had some other tough heavyweights, but one of their best guys in recent history. So, I don't think he's going to come back. And we see some comments coming in here about the WWE, which I asked. And Bruce Lee says, I might watch it for Gable. I think we'll see some of that. I may watch some of Gable's matches. I think that's kind of cool to see a wrestler in the WWE. Danger Power says, I respect pro wrestling, but I'm not a fan. Yeah, I mean, that's a totally fair statement there, Danger. Falcon says, I like WWE, but prefer college and international wrestling. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Falcon. Your boy Za watched when he was younger. Greg Klopp says, definitely not. The acting is bad. Rather watch a soap opera. I mean, it is the fake wrestling, which I'll say this. How many of you, when you go or when you say that you're a fan of college wrestling to somebody else, or I'm going to a wrestling match, or I'm doing this, everybody's like, oh yeah, I watch WWE. How many of you has that happened to? That happens to me every single time I say that I have a college wrestling media company. It's never fails. I'm like, no, not that WWE or not that wrestling. That's WWE. It's amateur wrestling. Kamikaze said WWE fan when I was a kid, but I haven't watched in 10 years. Garrett says he'd watch for Gable. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Dan says, I don't watch fake sports. So there's a lot of differences in the comments between what everybody is watching, what they're not watching. The next so I'm going to go through some speed round questions here. And please submit your questions right now. I want to see what you said or what you're wondering. I'm going to go through a speed round here in just a second and then get to the top 25 team rankings. Again, please drop your questions in the comment right now. Darian Johnson says, do you think Lee's ACLs might hurt his chances to be a four-timer? It's going to play a factor, okay? I understand that Spencer Lee won his title in 2021 with no ACLs, okay? I understand he's that much of a beast. He is the toughest, the baddest dude in college wrestling. But it's got to hurt him a little bit. Guys are going to be going after those knees. It's not only are they going after him because, like, I'm the one who beat Spencer Lee on his quest for 4 titles. Same goes for Yanni this year, right? They want to go down as the Larry Owens. They want to go down as the Austin DeSanto who beat Spencer Lee on his title or his journey for 4 titles in high school. By the way, how many of you know that? Did you know that Austin DeSanto beat Spencer Lee on his quest for 4 titles and to go undefeated in high school in Pennsylvania? I know a lot of people actually don't know that. So I think that's kind of cool to bring up. I think it'll hurt his chances. I still think he's the dominant guy in the field. And I mean, he's proved once that he doesn't need him, and I think he's going to keep showing that. Uh, so what do you think of the wrestle-offs for Ohio State, particularly Carson Hartzell losing at his wrestle-off? So here's my take on the whole Carson Hartzell situation. He lost to Bryce Hepner, who's a sophomore, I believe, and I'm not shocked. I'm not like up in arms about the fact that this happened. Why am I not shocked? Because these guys are wrestling each other every single day in the room. A wrestle off, yes, it does decide the lineup to an extent, but not all the time. There are times when guys win wrestle offs and somebody else ends up going in the lineup. It's not necessarily winning the wrestle off that gets you the lineup. It's who's going to be the better wrestler for the team. And maybe Hepner has a game plan to beat Carson Hartzell because they wrestle each other probably every week in the room, right? Being around the same weight. They've wrestled each other before. Now, I'm not putting Hepner down. That's impressive. And if anything, it shows the depth of Ohio State. But what I'm saying is you can't be so shocked whenever Hartzell ends up getting the starting spot instead of Hepner, if that does happen. But it kind of reminds me of the Zane Rutherford and Yanni Giacomo situation a couple years ago with the Final X and Team USA. I think Zane had a game plan to beat Yanni. And I think that in the wrestle-offs, he was better than Yanni. But when it went on the international stage, I think that year, Yanni probably would have done better for Team USA. Now, that's just my opinion and my thought. And Zane Rutherford is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So that's me saying that. But it's kind of the same situation here. Maybe Hepner can beat Hartzell in a wrestle-off, but Hartzell is the better wrestler for the team. He made the stand last year. Don't forget that Carson was an All-American last year. Okay, so that's what's going on with the Ohio State wrestle-off. And the next thing, Abel, you bring up Abel Esparza. What do you think about Caleb Romero this year? I think he's tough, man. I think Caleb Romero is a tough wrestler. He's an All-American last year, just like Hartzell, and had a pretty solid year. Let me see who he lost to at Nationals. He ended up losing to Bernie Truau, who's now moved up, Trent Hidley and Aaron Brooks. Okay. So Hidley and Brooks are the top two guys at the weight. Okay. Keck Eisen too, but he didn't lose to him at Nationals. His other loss was to Miles Amin, who's gone now throughout the season. Yeah. Romero's a top 3-4 guy. And his decision, I mean, his loss to Hidley was only by decision. Romero is definitely somebody to watch out for. I think Ohio State's one of the toughest lineups this year. Now, we see so many comments coming in, and please keep this coming in. Let me address this pretty quick. So Mendez, and I'm gonna confirm. Yeah. So Try Guy, you asked about Jesse Mendez while we're talking about Ohio State at 133. I think he can have an impact this year. I do think he can. I have nothing against him. I'm just not sure. I don't know enough about Mendez to really say how much of an impact he has, but I mean, he's somebody to be watching out for. I think Ohio State is one of the top teams to watch this year. Now, right here, and I'm going to go to the second camera here, okay? I have my top 25 or top 10 teams. And if you want to see me do rankings on these top teams, I need you to comment right now. Comment a thumbs up emoji or do it, okay? Thumbs up emoji if you want me to do the top 10 team rankings, show you who is the top 10 teams in the NCAA before we get on to some more of your questions. And please keep these coming in. And it looks like we're getting some comments. Everybody wants to see these rankings, so that's very exciting, okay? That's why I brought out the whiteboard. And when I tell you, I literally brought out these whiteboard. I was cutting out these team graphics here like 2 minutes before the show started. That's how it went. Now, these rankings, and I want to tell you before we get into this, are brought to you by the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. I spent weeks, 12-hour plus days putting together this ultimate guide. And this is the physical version, but there's also a digital version. Now, what makes this guide so awesome, other than the fact that it does have the top 25 teams in it, uh, is that it's all of the wrestling stats you need in one place. Okay. It is the top 25 teams, it is the top contenders, it's every single dual meet schedule that you need to know about in one place. You know, you could go searching on the internet to find all of this stuff. Well, actually, not even all of it. Some of it's like, I mean, you're not going to find my predictions everywhere on the internet. There's some exclusive stuff in here, but it, you know, as wrestling fans, it gets really annoying sometimes to always get the shaft, excuse my language, always get the shaft when it comes to basketball and football and having to pay, you know, $150 a year. And I love Flow Wrestling, but I understand that, you know, some people don't want to pay all of that money for Flow. Well, I have everything for you in my guide. $10. That's all it is. 90 plus pages of wrestling stats. This is, I poured my heart and soul into this. And I just want to say, you know, thank you to everybody who's bought it so far, because the sales have been rolling in today with everybody who's commented and said that they love it so much. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. So with that said, and by the way, the link to buy that, and Falcon says, I'm going to buy the guide tonight. I appreciate that, Falcon. I am grateful for your support. It's a great way to support this channel for only $9.99. And the physical copy is $19.99, available on Amazon. Again, link in the description below. But if you buy by this Sunday, I have exclusive videos breaking down Spencer Lee versus RBY, breaking down the Hodge Trophy contenders, breaking down my predictions for the NCAA championships. But the only way to get it is if you buy by this Sunday. And $9.99, that price isn't going to stick around for long. So let's get into the team rankings now that everybody's so excited. Let me pull over the whiteboard. And I'm going to use my guide to reference that. And by the way, is my sound okay on this camera here? If you can't hear me, comment right now, but I think it should be good. This is the first time doing the multi-camera setup. And let's talk about team number, or actually, let's first talk about some honorable mentions. So some teams, again, this is coming right from my guide, so I'm going to reference this while I'm talking about these teams. So a couple teams that are honorable mentions and are surprisingly not in the top 10. One of them, Virginia Tech, the Hokies. The other one is Pitt, the Panthers. There, I got to put it over my face. And you know who another one is? NC State. All three of those ACC teams are not in the top 10. Is that shocking to you? Are you shocked that the ACC teams aren't in it? These three teams are all capable of getting into the top 10. They all have freshmen, and I think potentially NC State probably is the best chance because they have Trent, who I think is a probably the best national finalist contender out of all these guys. But Pitt has Nino Bonacorsi, who's made the finals before, Cole Matthews at 141, who almost made the finals last year. Okay. And Falcon the Wrestler says NC State and Virginia Tech surprised me. It shocked me too. And before I go on, I got to let you know that these rankings are tournament rankings. They're based on the NCAA, where guys are ranked, and that's how I got these rankings. They are not dual meet rankings. I'm not saying that any of these teams would win or lose in a dual meet. This is how they will compete on the NCAA championship at the end of the year. So NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt are all out of the way. Let's talk about number 10. By the way, who do you think? out of the rest of these teams, I'm going to put this up here so you can see it. Out of the rest of these teams, which do you think are not in the top 10? Why just this light? I want you to comment. Who do you not think's in the top 10? Do you not think it's you think Oklahoma State's not going to make the top 10? Do you think Ohio State's not going to make the top 10? Maybe you don't think Iowa's not going to make the top 10. I know you guys are smarter than that. Wisconsin. Comment right now which team you think is not deserving of a top 10 spot. Well, let's start with number 10. Number 10 is Northwestern. Northwestern is at number 10 because, and this surprised me as I was doing the rankings. I'm not even going to lie to you. It shocked me. Big Ten team. Last year, they had a dual meet record of 7-4 and scored 57.5 points. They were sixth at the NCAA championships. Now, that's not really that shocking because if you go one All-American, you're really a top 20 team. If you get an NCAA finalist, yeah, you're getting into the top 10. And when you have somebody win it, Ryan Deacon, man, Ryan Deacon, an NCAA champion, okay? And let me unpin this comment real quick. Rick Flores is kind of shocked that Northwestern's in it. I was kind of shocked too. So their biggest returner is probably Yaya Thomas and Michael DiAugustino. Both of these guys are ranked in the top 10. Actually, they have 5 guys ranked in the top 10 right now. DiAugustino's number 3 at 125. Chris Cannon is number 6 at 133. You have Frankie Tal-Shahar, Yaya Thomas, and Lucas Davison. And Yaya, what an impressive run he had 2 years ago. I know not last year, but they did the year before. He did have a great year the year before that. He lost early on and ended up coming back for third. And Falcon asked, didn't they qualify everyone for nationals last year? And as a matter of fact, I believe they did. If they didn't qualify everybody, they had maybe 9 qualifiers. Let me find that for you. Let's see where it is. I have so many stats in here that sometimes and again, I'm transitioning from spreadsheets to my guide, so it's a little bit different. Okay, here it is. Number of placers and number of qualifiers. So Northwestern last year had 10 qualifiers and 4 placers. Okay? 10 qualifiers, 4 placers. The other teams with 10 were Iowa and NC State. Yeah, Penn State didn't even have 10 qualifiers, okay? So they're a top team. Now that leads to who is the number 9 team. And by the way, we saw some interesting comments. Jason said he doesn't think Princeton or Wisconsin are deserving of making the top 10. Greg says Minnesota not deserving. Oklahoma Wrestling says Iowa State is not deserving. Danger says Princeton. JJ Gamer, Iowa State. Yeah, I think you'll be surprised at some of these teams that end up making the top 10. So let's move it over to number 9. Nebraska Cornhuskers are at number 9. Okay, so Northwestern 10, Nebraska number 9. Another Big Ten team. And, you know, this, I'm not going to lie to you. This top 10 ranking is very Big Ten oriented. And I was shocked by it, to tell you the truth. So they have Ridge Lovett back, national finalist last year, who at one point he contended against Yanni during the season. And then at nationals, Yanni kind of stuck it to him. I actually interviewed Ridge a couple weeks ago, and I included that as a bonus for ordering the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. I really appreciate that. uh, the interview, and I know that's something you will like. By the way, if you buy the guide tonight during this live stream, let me know. Uh, Send me a comment, say I just bought the guide, and I'll make sure to get you up there and highlight you on the screen and as a thank you. So not only that, but they have Mikey Labriola, who are you shocked that Labriola is still in college? I kind of am. I can't believe he's still around. He's a top 4 guy at 174 pounds. And by the way, Sean, yeah, I'm going to be talking about that Kyle Berwick situation. That's kind of wacky, okay? Peyton Robb, number 3 at 157. And if I'm hearing correctly, there may be one of the top guys at 157 out for the year. It's not Peyton Robb. It may be somebody else. And I hope it's not true, but what I heard is it might be. So, first of all, Abel. Ridge Love, it definitely surprised me. Never knew of him, but definitely something to keep an eye out. Yeah, Ridge surprised a lot of people. I think, sometimes everybody doesn't watch Cliff Keen or some of the other tournaments, so they forget of what happened. But Ridge had an impressive year uh, from start to end. And he didn't have the best Big Ten championships when he got pinned by Gomez. And I think Sasso beat him there too. And so he didn't end up like doing as well as he could, then end up making the national finals 2 weeks later. It's crazy how that happened. Okay. And so let's talk. Okay. You know what? Let's talk about the Berwick situation, Sean, before we get to the number 8 team. So, and comment who you think's number 8 right now. Who is number 8? Kyle Berwick. If you're not familiar with the situation, he was the starting 133 pounder last year for Wisconsin. Then what happened was they got a transfer. And the transfer in, and let me see if I can find the comment here. They got Taylor Lamont from Utah Valley transfer in to Wisconsin, and there was a whole issue with this. And I'm pulling up this that I can find here, and let's see if we can get it up so you can see. Share screen. Okay. So here we are now. And this is something that Kyle Berwick wrote. At the conclusion of the 2021 season, he began to think about transferring from Wisconsin. He found out that the coaches at Wisconsin had signed 6-year senior grad, that's Taylor Lamont of Utah Valley, who was an All-American prior to that year. And so before he decided to transfer in, he said, or decided to talk with the coaches, he wanted to transfer. And he wasn't sure what he wanted to do and then until June 13th when he entered the transfer portal, hoping to finish his degree and reach his goals for the last 3 years of his wrestling career. He was never informed by the university or anybody on staff that he had to be in the portal by May 1st. May 1st is the deadline to get into the transfer portal without losing a year of eligibility. And so he feels it was an injustice to him and a punishment for a student athlete for something outside of his control. And, that's basically the situation is he didn't get in on time. It's a shame that it happened, but, I felt bad for him, first of all, because you got Lamont transferring in. And now he is probably going to lose a year of eligibility because of it. Whether he knew or not, seemed like he didn't know. You got to be aware of these things as a student athlete. You got to know if you're willing to transfer. You got to know about it. I feel bad for him. There's so many rules that it's not easy to know. But if he was thinking about it, it's probably something he should have looked at before. It's sad that he's probably going to lose this year of eligibility now. Now, JVIC65 says, just got the ultimate guide. Thanks, Josiah. Well, thank you, JVIC. I greatly appreciate it. Looks like we've had some more sales coming in as we are continuing this live stream. Really appreciate the support and buying the guide. The digital version, and for this year, for the first time, we have the physical copy, which I'm super psyched about. And I hope you enjoy it. Let's move on to the number 8 team. Number 8, surprisingly, again, I know I keep saying surprisingly, but the truth is it kind of is. Minnesota. Yeah, even without Gable Steveson, Minnesota is a top 10 team. Let me tell you why. Now, if they had Gable, they're a top 4 or 5 team. And that may be one of the reasons that he wants to come back, is to help the team contend for a title. They're not going to beat Penn State, okay? Like, sorry, but get that out of your head if you're thinking that, Minnesota fans. But they were 9th last year with Gable winning the whole thing, with him bonusing his way pretty much through the whole tournament. This year, they have Pat McKee at 125, number 4 in the country. Jake Berglund, number 3 in the country at 141. Brayton Lee, number 2 at 157. And Isaiah Salazar at 184. First of all, let me tell you, one of the coolest names in college wrestling, Isaiah Salazar. What a cool name. Isaiah Salazar. Brayton Lee, you may forget, he's back this year. Yeah, he had a year off last year due to injury, but he is back, and he's one of the top guys at 157. And like I said, there may be a shakeup at 157 because I'm hearing that he may not be, one of the top guys may not be back. Okay. And it's not Brayton Lee. And that means Brayton Lee is probably one of the top guys. So that moves us to number 7. And this is a little bit less shocking. Michigan. Michigan is number 7, okay? And they lost a lot of tough talent. And that's why I'm it's interesting that they're so high in these rankings, because they lost Nick Soriano, national champion. Miles Amin, national finalist. Logan Massa, All-American. Stevan Micic, former All-American. I know he had a little bit of an issue last year, but he didn't end up making the stand last year. But still, who they have, Mason Paris, All-American, former national finalist. Cam Amin, Will Awan, and Dylan Ragusin. All of these guys are top talent. Most impressively, I think, so Cam Amin and Will Awan are both ranked top 4. And, Amin is somebody, first of all, I very much underestimate Will Awan, and maybe you do too, unless you're probably a Michigan fan. I've just always underestimated him for some reason, but he keeps, pumping out wins and getting on the stand. Cam Amin, I underestimated him because a couple years ago, he had the issue, or he had the bracket where at 165, so many guys like injury defaulted out. There was Mekhi Lewis injury defaulted out. Marinelli, didn't he injury default out? I think there may have been one more where he had he had a good tournament, but he kind of fell into placing. Like, he didn't win in the blood round. He had a injury default, like a forfeit. And I understand, it's tough to say how he did. But then last year, he had a very good year. He beat Alex Marinelli, and he made the stand for the second time in his career. It wasn't a fluke. I don't think Michigan's going to finish top 2 like they did last year, but heck, man, they're still a pretty good team, and they're paving the next way for Michigan team 101 and on. Scott said, just ordered the hard copy. Old guy here. Got to go old school. Great channel. We are Penn State. We are Scott. And although we had a upsetting football game on Saturday, yeah, I was watching that Ohio State game, and what a shame it was. That's why I was so happy to bring the physical copy this year, is because a lot of the old guys like you, my dad included. Even like I prefer the physical copy, even though I got the digital copy on my iPad up there. But it's awesome. It's great for travel. It's great for your phone. But the physical copy, there's just something great about it. So thank you so much for your purchase, and I hope it'll be there in a couple days for you to enjoy. Um, Looks like Falcon the Wrestler just bought the guide as well. You're the man, Josiah. Fanco, using those Fanco emojis. Greatly appreciate your support, everybody, in buying the guide. And, Falcon, I really hope that you appreciate the guide as well. I know you're always commenting on the channel. I know this is going to be something that you love. Cruz Little says, hey, Fanco, I'm a big fan. Well, awesome, Cruz. Greatly appreciate your support, my man. You should be proud of yourself, Josiah. You do a great job. Well, thank you, Greg. I'll be honest. I didn't even mean to put that up on the screen. Sometimes it feels braggadocious to put those things up, but I greatly appreciate the support from everybody, whether you're buying the guide or just commenting along tonight. And I hope you're having a fun time during this live stream, because I know I'm having a blast as we look to team number 6. Who is team number 6? Okay. Cornell. Cornell is team number 6. So that gives 10 Northwestern, 9 Nebraska, 8 Minnesota, 7 Michigan, and 6 Cornell. Are you shocked about this? This is the first team that I'm not shocked about. And I know I was shocked about 7, 8, 9, 10. Not shocked about the rest of these teams. Maybe the order you'll be surprised by. The rest of these I'm not shocked by. Cornell. And let me take a sip of water real quick. Had some top guys. Okay, Cornell has some top guys. Not only do they have returning national champion, Yanni Diakomahalis. By the way, that reminds me of when I first started Fanco Wrestling, and I called Kyle Dake a world medalist as opposed to a world champion. The comments I got back then were like, oh, you're an idiot. You're a dumb Josiah. I can't believe you would say just a medalist. Man, he's still, what is gold? Gold is still a medal, my friend. Okay, anyway. 3-time national champion Yanni D going for his 4th title. And let's talk about it. Falcon says Cornell's rounded from top to bottom. Abel says, is Vito active this year? Yes, he is. Now, he's not going to be wrestling 125 pounds. He'll be at 133 pounds. Throwing a curveball into the RBY and Dayton Fix matchups at 133. Okay? Is one. And so he's one of the other top guys at the weight. I don't know if he was going to be able to beat, he had that fun back and forth rivalry with Pat Glory at 125, but now the field's open a little bit more, and perhaps this is his year to do it at 133. I mean, Greg says he thinks he's going to get whooped by RBY. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about whoop, but I think he's going to probably get beat by him. I'll be interested to see that matchup. Could happen at the Collegiate Wrestling Duels in December, by the way. They also have some top talent. Julian Ramirez, number 8 in the country. Jonathan Lowe, number 6. Chris Foca, who's not ranked in the top 12, but is right there. National final or national qualifier last year, excuse me. Luis Fernandez, top 10 heavyweight. Like at heavyweight, it's kind of interesting because you have those top guys, Schultz, Cassiope, Kirkfleet, Paris, but then you have some of these other guys like Fernandez, who's still a top 10 heavyweight. One of Harvard's guys, man, Yaroslav Slavikowski, he's easily forgotten about, and he's a top 10 heavyweight as well. This is a team to watch. They were 7th last year with 54.5 points, and this year I project them at 63 points. And you know what? While we're continuing with this, do you want me to write down the scores or the points that I think these teams are going to score? Excuse me. If you want me to write down the points right now, just type points. If not, just let the chat go. Number 5 is Mizzou. Into the top 5 now, my friends. All right, so let me write out the points while we're getting into this top 5. So, number 10, Northwestern, 54 points. Nebraska is 54.5, and Minnesota is 56. Michigan is 61 projected points, while Cornell's 63. And that leaves Mizzou with 70 points. So a big jump. And you can see already, like, there's not that much of a difference between these top 5 teams. Like, 8 points, that's not a ton. Now, this is the biggest jump, and that's why, like, these top 5 teams, I don't want to say they're set in stone because they're not, but like these top 10, it's constantly moving. It's very fluid. So Mizzou, this is my extreme, like, dark horse to win a national championship team. Do I think they're going to beat Penn State? No, I don't. However, they have a lot of guys who are right there. Right there. And Michael, yeah, you're right. A 7-point jump is an All-American versus a loss in the blood round. Yeah. That's the placement points. That's the placement points. In fact, I have a whole scoring guide here. For placing 8th, you get 3 points plus the advancement. That's 4. 7th is 4 points. 6th is 6 points. So you get a lot of points for getting onto the stand. Okay. Mizzou is such a team to watch this year because of all their talent. Keegan O'Toole, returning national champion at 165, the favorite to win this year, although not an easy weight to win. Okay. Toughest in the country. Brock Mahler back at 149, top 8 guy. Alan Hart back at 141, top 8 guy. Noah Certain also ranked at 125. Rocky and Zach Elam at 97 and 285. Rocky's another guy I actually did an interview with just a couple of weeks ago, and that's included as a bonus to my ultimate guide. Is that interview. I talked about Rich Lovett interview, and I talked about the Rocky Elam interview. Both of those, they're 30 minutes. I talked to them. I got some really good information from them. So if you're fans of Nebraska or Mizzou, highly recommend you getting the guide by this Sunday, just so you can get those bonuses. And the thing that's so impressive about Mizzou is nearly every single one of their guys has made the blood round or advanced past that. And because of that, they could be adding so many points. By the way, Greg says that is a weird color of water. Yeah. What do you guys think I'm drinking? Got any guesses? Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is Arizona State. And Cruz, by the way, I'll answer your question just a little bit. If you keep, oh gosh, Mike, while we're on the Mizzou topic, Michael said Ashburn called him dumb on FRL. I hope O'Toole gets pinned in the first round. Funny. Not funny that he called you dumb. You know, that's what I if I ever call you anybody watching this stream dumb, you know that there's something messed up in my head because that's not what I'm about. Okay. That's why I started Fanco Wrestling, because I love interacting with wrestling fans. And although many of you disagree with me at times, which is fine, I'm never going to call you dumb for it. Okay. Number 4 is Arizona State. And this may be one of those things that kind of drops. Now, their projected points right now are 81. And that's a pretty big leap even from Mizzou. From 70 to 81. So who do they have? Well, they have Brandon Courtney, a former national finalist, All-American last year at 125. Mikhail McGee, top 3 guy at 133. Between Vito Arujau, Dayton Fix, RBY, Mikhail McGee's another tough guy there. Cal Parco, tough guy at 49. Corey Teamer, Colton Schultz, Cordell Norfleet. This is a tough team. And first of all, I'm excited for them in the Pac 12. And here's why. In the Pac 12, I'm excited because they can have 7 champions. Now, I don't know if there's ever been more than 7 or more than 6 conference champions at one conference championship. I know there's been 6. Arizona State did that last year. And actually, as a matter of fact, Arizona State has had, I believe, the most or tied for the most conference champions every single year for the past 2 to 3 years. And this year they could have 7 with all the guys returning. But with that, Arizona State is going to have a national champion this year. I promise you that. Now, before we get on to number 3, and thank you, Jason, for saying that. You're not dumb, Michael. LOL. Caden Henschel, what's up, Caden, in the chat? Josiah the GOAT. I saw a comment, and I want to answer this because I've been talking about. I'll answer your question in a little bit, Cruz. So let's move on to number 3. The Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I'm not too happy with the Buckeyes after that Penn State game on Saturday. You guys football fans? I know you're football fans. Projected to score 85 points. Not a huge margin here from 3rd to 4th, 81 to 85. But here's some things that Ohio State has. And Ohio State has Malik Heinzelman, who's not ranked in my rankings. I ranked the top 12. He's not ranked, but he's able to get onto the stand. He's a 4-time qualifier, I believe. It can definitely get there. Dylan D'Amelio, top ranked at 41. Sammy Sasso, national finalist. And Sasso, he had a bit of I say down year. It's a good year for anybody else. Down year from making the national finals the year before that to then just placing last year. He can make the finals again. And if he does, he's adding some points for Ohio State. Carson Hartzela, 65. Now, whether it's going to be him or Hepner, we're not sure. As I said at the beginning of the show tonight, we could definitely see this going either way. I'm not going to be shocked if Hartzela gets to start over Hepner, even though Hepner has to win. I think Hepner will get the start for the beginning of the season, but we'll probably see some back and forth to see who is the top at the weight. So Ethan Smith, Caleb Romero, Gavin Hoffman, and Tate Orndorff. That's like your murder's row from 65 to heavyweight with these guys. Then you throw in Patty Gallagher at 160 or 157, was a top freshman in his class. And a lot of people have been watching out for to see how he's going to do. Rick Flores said, no Oklahoma State in the top 10. What has this world come to? Yeah, I'm just going to tell you right now. Oklahoma State's not in the top 10. Where do they rank? Well, they're top 15 in the country, but not top 10. And, if they didn't lose A.J. Ferrari, they definitely would have been contending for the top 5 team. Okay. Which heavyweight? This is a good question while we're talking about Ohio State. Matt Hoppin said, which heavyweight do you think will finish the season for Ohio State? I think Orndorff will probably finish the season. I don't think Feldman's going to end up coming in this year. I think they'll probably keep him redshirted is my guess. Now, the thing this year, don't forget, is this new freshman rule. So the freshman rule is that it's for true freshmen. They can wrestle 5 matches within their first year without losing a year of eligibility. This is big. We're going to see new freshmen coming in and being tested out in big dual meets, but not lose that year of eligibility. Don't forget about that rule. And yes, there are 2 teams left, and I don't think it's any surprise. So while I'm talking about these teams, drop your comments. I'm going to be going through a ton of them, even more right now. Iowa, number 2. Penn State, number 1. The question is going to become, how big of a point gap is there? Iowa, I have projected to score, based on where their guys are ranked currently, 91 points. Penn State, I have projected to score 122. By the way, these aren't just like random numbers I'm making up. These are the legit like points where I ranked every single guy top 12 and based those rankings and where I think guys will finish on these scores. So I'm not just adding 30 points onto Penn State just because I like Penn State. No. I literally am using this algorithm that I created, okay? So, both teams are going to be like solid, and I think each of them has kind of their own guys who can surprise. I think Penn State probably more so. Like, do I see? Can I see Iowa breaking 100 points? Yes. Do I see Penn State breaking 150 points? No. I think that Van Ness and Facundo, and by the way, I'm looking at my guide here. Van Ness and Facundo could definitely make the stand this year. There are 2 of the, pretty tough weight classes, 49 and 65. It's going to be tough, but as freshmen, they can get those wins. And then, to score those points, they have to have all their national champions basically win again this year. That's not going to be easy to do. All 4 of them win again. Greg Kirkfleet at 285 can stand a chance. So those are my team rankings again. And then let's get into some questions here. Northwestern 10, Nebraska 9, Minnesota 8, Michigan 7, Cornell number 6, Mizzou at number 5, Arizona State 4, Ohio State 3, Iowa 2, and Penn State 1. And here I kept mentioning a 57-pounder being out, and it seems like Teamer is out for the year, Aaron. So it's going to affect these rankings. It is. With Teamer out, Mizzou hops into that number 4 spot. Arizona State just drops down. But I still think that Arizona State is a top 5 contending team. It's a shame that that's going to happen because Teamer was, he was my pick to win at 157. Mayor Evan Bull, just since you keep asking about UPenn, I'll tell you where I have them ranked. Not in the top 25, my friend. And so let me actually get the full because I have a full rankings. And I don't know if you're going to be too happy about it. And while I'm looking for that, everybody, please keep your comments coming in and your questions. Okay. I ranked every team. Penn is ranked number 39 right now. Sorry, Mayor. 39. They finished 27th last year, losing some talent. 9 national qualifiers last year, okay? Solid. And maybe they get them all again this year. Maybe they do. But they're not projected to score a ton of points just based on where the guys are ranked. That's what it comes down to. Samuel, thanks for joining as a channel member. It's awesome to have you as a Fanco fanatic. Aaron, your question, and we're gonna get into keep rolling with these questions now. I'm just going. Okay, keep going as long as I can tonight, and as long as we keep getting purchases for the guide. You know that's the big thing tonight is that I want to celebrate is the more guides that people are buying, the longer I'll stay on. I guess is kind of how we'll go along with this. My ultimate guide, which I have all my team rankings here in this guide. If you're just joining me, I've been working weeks on this, spending 12 plus hour days. And, this is your way to get all the stats in one convenient location. Your top 25 team rankings, which we just went through, your top freshmen to watch, your dark horses, which I'm going to touch on that, Aaron, in just a second. 90 plus pages of wrestling stats that you can get. This is like I'm very proud of this, and I know as a wrestling fan, you're gonna love it. So my dark horse team to sneak into the top 25, probably, honestly, probably Pitt. Um, I, Wisconsin's right at number 11, but I don't know how much of a dark horse they are. I think they have a really good team. Pitt is probably why. Because they have Nino Bonacorsi, who's a former national finalist. Cole Matthews, who's a top guy at the weight. Mickey Philippi, who's a close to being an All-American. I think a 3 or 4 time blood round finisher. And 3-time. And so I think they're like right there in the top 10. Sorry to repeat a question. No, Mark, please. Like, if you have questions, I haven't answered them. Repeat them. Keep commenting along. But what is happening this weekend? Can anyone in the chat help? I'll help you out. So this weekend, we have some big events. Again, like I have my entire calendar here in my guide on everything to watch, where to watch it, the important events coming up. This weekend, the biggest thing is the battle in River City. That's November 5th, happening in Jacksonville, Florida on Rockfin. And Wisconsin's hosting this event with Iowa State, Campbell, Buffalo, Chattanooga, and Little Rock. It's the inaugural Florida Dual Series, and it's a round-robin dual meet event. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be really, really good. Let's go back to some of these questions. Danger Powers, what's up, Josiah? Do you believe Jacob Warner will win nationals if he can get past Max Dean? Watching from Illinois. Awesome. All the way out from Illinois, Danger. So I know you're a big Jacob Warner fan. And that's what I love. The teams, although Warner's wrestling for Iowa, those state, I can't think of the word, but they cross boundaries, right? Like the blood that you're excited for your team state. Like I really root for the Pennsylvania guys like Spencer Lee because I'm a PA guy and he's a beast. I don't know how many guys root against Spencer Lee. I guess if your kid's wrestling against him, if your guys wrestling against him, it's still hard to root against him. Warner, let's get back to the question at hand. Yeah, I think that Warner actually can win a national title. I mean, the match was within a point last year. Now, I'll be honest, Warner's not my pick to win a national title. My pick is Stephen Buchanan of Wyoming. I think he's the guy that's most consistent and dominant at the weight. He hasn't wrestled Max Dean yet. He wrestled Warner. Warner beat him at nationals last year. But Warner, he's a threat to be reckoned with. He's a top guy at the weight, and I think he can win nationals. He's just going to have to find a way to take down Dean and get past his defense because Dean is a very defensive wrestler. And about every single one of his matches, especially at nationals, they're within like 2 points. So he's got to find a way to score on and work that offense. This is a fun one for me. Have I ever met Colat? Yeah, actually, Ernie, I have met Kerry Colat, the Pennsylvania legend, wrestled at Penn State and then Lock Haven, won 2 national titles. Incredible Olympian. He was my boss for a year. or so while I worked at Campbell University. If you're new to this channel, maybe you don't know, but I actually worked at Campbell University wrestling, working with the wrestling program directly. I don't work there anymore. But I still live around the area and love the school, but he was my boss. And a great boss, a great coach, a great leader. And then I ended up, when he left, Scotty Sentes took over. And I can say the same things about him. Great boss, great leader, great coach. Abe, oh, we're just talking about the WWE here. So we talked about the Kyle Berwick thing. Will, we touched a little bit on the best dark horse team to win it all. That is, to win it all, probably Mizzou, dark horse team. Mark says, glad this channel exists. I've only recently started to enjoy this sport, so it helps someone new to learn, to help teach him. Everybody, welcome Mark in the chat. Say, welcome to wrestling. Welcome to wrestling, Mark. It's awesome to have you new as a fan. I'm interested if you're joining as like a former fight fan or if you're joining as like it's tough to say, right? Maybe you're a younger guy who's just getting into wrestling. Maybe you're an older guy who is getting into wrestling for the first time, but really awesome to have you as a wrestling fan. That is one of my goals with Fanco, is to educate fans. Because so often, like if I'm doing a video, I make sure I say the weight, I say the schools that guys are wrestling for, because too often some of these other publications kind of get in their own way. Like, oh, you don't know that Kyle Berwick transferred from Wisconsin to Nebraska? You're an idiot. Let's just help. Let's just like understand that not everybody spends 24/7 watching wrestling and try to teach people. Okay. All right, Cruz, I promised you I'd get to your chat. Hey, Fanco, do you think RBY might bump up to 141 in the middle of the season? I honestly don't think he can hang on to 133. And I think he has a better chance at 141 because he has two hammers, Vito and Fix. Yeah, he got two tough guys there. But here's the thing, Cruz Little. I don't think it would make Penn State's lineup tougher. Now, I don't think it matters where RBY goes. I think he could probably win a title at 33 or 41. But they have Bo Bartlett bumping down from 149 to 141, taking over Nick Lee's spot, so that Penn State has freshmen coming in at 149. And I don't think they necessarily have that at 133, the depth there, where they have at 140, 141, 149. So I don't see that happening. Would it be crazy for him to bump up for a match or two? Yeah, it'd be awesome, but I don't see it happening. And I'm going to take a sip of my drink because everybody was wondering, what the heck are you drinking, Josiah? So ever since I stopped wrestling, which that was my senior year of high school, I finished my senior year, graduated, went to Penn State, didn't wrestle there, watch all the matches. I promised myself one thing. I will never go thirsty again from all the weight cutting, from all the drinks I was not able to have, the water, the this or that, all the weight cutting. I said, I'm never going thirsty again. I always carry around something. And the soda stream is always something I carry around. By the way, this isn't like a sponsored ad or anything. I'm just saying I love this stuff. And so, yes, James, you got it right. It is soda stream. It's not the soda stream flavor, though. It's a Mio flavor. The orange, you're right. It's the orange vanilla crush. So sorry, Abel, it's not the orange Fanta, but it is the soda stream. All right, let's get it to some more questions here. So many more. All right, let's keep going. Try Guy 327 says, just bought the guide coming Saturday. Awesome, Try Guy. I'm so excited for you to get the physical version of the Ultimate Guide. I am so happy that I figured out a way to do it this year because I came out with the guide last year. I just came out with the digital version. I was not sure how to do the physical version. Well, this year I figured it out just for you. Enjoy. I mean, right in time for the season, my friend. And how awesome is it that it's on Amazon? Easy to order. See Spanky in the comments welcoming Mark as a wrestling fan. And I'm going through as many of these comments as I can. And Mayor Evan Bull says, Cole and I were on a world team together. Awesome. Awesome, Mayor. You know, I mean, that's really neat to hear about. Can Hoagie Hidley get the job done? Yeah. I I think he can. The one thing that I worry about is I think he's going to have his eyes set on Aaron Brooks. I think he may have a game plan for him, find a way to beat him. And I think he'll probably end up being that number 2 seed at Nationals to Aaron Brooks, number 1. And it's not like they're in the same conference where, like, remember Miles Amin and Brooks wrestled multiple times throughout the season. Well, Hidley doesn't have that advantage to wrestle multiple times. I worry that he will overlook him and end up getting beat by somebody else like a Parker Keckeisen in the semis. That's what worries me. But I think now Brooks, I think more so than probably any guy on Penn State's team right now, I think Brooks reminds me of some of the guys who I think of who are elite Penn Staters: Bo Nickel, Jason Nolf, Zane Rutherford. Those are the 3 elite Penn Staters of the past decade. Yeah, I know David Taylor too. He's one of the elite guys, but really those 3 guys in recent history, Brooks is on that level of bonus point scoring. Hidley, maybe he beats him. Maybe he does. I think he does have what it takes to get the job done. If Yanni goes undefeated this year with a decent bonus rate, where does he rank for you all time? All time? I mean, man, he'll if he goes undefeated, he'll have 1 collegiate loss. He'll have over 100 wins, 1 loss. He's got to be. Let's see. Let's look at these stats. So I actually put together a list of comparing the 4-timers. Okay. So we're comparing him against Pat Smith, Cale Sanderson, Kyle Dake, Logan Stieber. Those are the current 4-timers. Pat Smith had 5 losses. Kyle Dake had 4. Logan Stieber had 3. Spencer Lee right now has 5. And Yanni has 1. I got to say, he's probably got to be, man, I mean, I'm putting Cale at number 1. And you got to say Dan Gable is like an all-timer, one of the best of all time. But just like based on these 4-timers, I probably got to say based on the stats, he's probably number 2 or 3. But the thing is, I think when we look back, like if Yanni and Spencer both win it, I think Spencer Lee has probably the better name recognition. And I'm curious right now, comment, who is better name recognition? Who will be remembered more, Spencer Lee or Yanni D? I think it's going to be Spencer Lee. I think they'll both be remembered, but I think there's a lot of people who forget that Pat Smith, John Smith's brother, is a 4-time national champion. I think there's a lot of people who forget that Logan Stieber of Ohio State is a 4-time national champion. He's overlooked because Kyle Dake just won it, a year before he did? 2 years before. Sorry. His 4 titles, okay? And I think Spencer Lee, as a nearly undefeated high school state champion, I think he has the better name recognition. I think he'll go down all the time. But based on the stats, with only 1 loss, I think Yanni's up there. Michael says, we all know Josiah is a Penn Stater. I'm coming for the Hawkeyes. Yeah. I'm a Penn Stater. Michael. You got that right. Tyler Snyder says, I love to cheer on schools who recruit in their own backyard. Ryder, Binghamton, Fresno. Yeah, Fresno no longer has the D1 program, but Binghamton and Ryder, I like cheering for those teams too. Now, I think there's something to be said about recruiting outside of your state. I love recruiting that talent. I think Pitt should recruit more Western PA guys, but they shouldn't make that their only focus. I think Rutgers a couple years ago got in their own way when they recruited only New Jersey guys. It's like New Jersey's a good wrestling state, but you can't be so sorry, egotistical to think that nobody else can beat you. There's something to be said. I know the word like a diversity gets thrown around a lot, but a diversity of like different states and different talent and different technique to combine to make a better team. If you're wrestling only the same guys from your state, you're seeing only so much within that bubble. You got to get outside of that. Get some guys from the West Coast. Get some guys from PA. I mean, Penn State, yeah, I consider Pennsylvania the number one state in the entire country, pound for pound, for wrestling. But they don't recruit only Pennsylvania guys. They recruit Bo Nickel from Pennsylvania, or from Texas, or Roman Bravo Young from Arizona. They get guys from all over the country. So, but I do like cheering on those schools. So I do like that, Tyler. You're right. Big Dog asks, what do you think about the middle to upper weights in Iowa's lineup? Should Iowa fans be worried here? Let's go to this. Let's go to their lineup here in the Ultimate Guide. By the way, link to buy it is in the description. If you're wondering where I'm getting like all these stats, I keep referencing the guide because it's literally that easy to look at. Like when you're watching wrestling, you're like, man, like who the heck is in Iowa's lineup again? Oh yeah, here's who. So 65, Pat Kennedy, who's a impressive freshman. I mean, he had a good match against Marinelli last year. Whatever you think about Marinelli or not, I know there's things thrown out about him like, well, he never got the job done at nationals, but he's a great wrestler. Okay, that's the least you can say about him, is he's a great wrestler. And Patrick Kennedy had a decision against him. Same thing goes with Horchla and Hepner. They're wrestling each other a lot in the room, so there's only so much you can say. Nelson Brand at 74. I think he's a good wrestler. I think he needs more mat time is probably what it takes, but I think he'll be able to compete at the weight and have good matches. Abe Assad, not a national title contender necessarily, but I think Assad is an All-American contender. Jacob Warner, former national finalist, and Cassiope. Cassiope, let's not forget, beat Schultz in the past twice at nationals. And although, like, if he can get over the hump of Kirkfleet and Paris, or he's already gotten over the hump of Kirkfleet, but really Paris, then he's a national title contender. I don't think there's anything to worry about with the Hawkeyes at the upper weights. I think they have a really good lineup this year. Really, really good. Are they as good as Penn State's upper weights? I mean, not when you got back-to-back-to-back national champs, but you still have a good lineup. Does Penn State ever get 6 champs? Oh. Here's the unfortunate thing, Greg, is this year, Roman Bravo Young, let's say he wins it. Well, he's going to graduate. And Dean, I believe, is graduating this year as well. So let's say he wins it. Then you got Srirachi, Brooks, Kirkfleet. If they all win it this year, let's say, that's 3. They still need 3 more guys. It's got to be another recruiting cycle before they get 6. And no team has ever done it, by the way. The most that a team has ever had is 5. Their best chance that they ever had to get 6 champs was back in 2017. Zane won. Bo Nickel won. Jason Nolf won. Mark Hall won. Vincenzo won. I was leaving somebody out at 65. But here's the kicker. They had Nick Suriano at 125 that year. And I'm not saying like that was the year before Spencer Lee was there. So he could have won it. And that could have been 6 champions. Also, how wild would that have been if Suriano won it that year, transferred to Rutgers, won it, and then transferred to Michigan and won it? He would have been had to be the first guy ever to win 3 different titles for 3 different schools. Okay. Keep the comments coming in. I love this. Aaron says, best sport in the world, Mark. Yeah, we're so welcoming in Mark. Welcome, Mark. Awesome to see you as a wrestling fan. What's going on with the middle Ferrari? He was committed to Oklahoma State. Yeah, he was. And then whenever AJ was dismissed from the team, I believe he left. So it's still yet to be seen what's happening with him. I'm assuming you wrestled back in the day. What was your favorite go-to move? Yeah, sure, I'll answer that one. So probably a cradle was my go-to move on top. And I did wrestle growing up all the way through high school. And so that was something a little personal about me. Try Guy already gave you a shout out there, my friend. Spanky just bought the guide. It's the Bible of college wrestling. Sure is. Sure is. Ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. Tyler says, best sport ever, wrestling. I'm trying to get it started at the school I work at in New Hampshire. Awesome, Tyler. You got a lot of tough work ahead of you starting a team, but very impressive. I think probably one of the best ways to get a team started nowadays and get resources a lot behind you is having men's and women's team. Not only can you train together, you get a bigger team, you probably get more resources with you. I mean, good luck starting a team. I think that's fantastic. What can Penn State do with the 125 situation? Referring to Penn State not having an All-American at 125 since Nico Mangaludis. Unbelievable that that's the case. And I think that Penn State's just not worried about recruiting at 125. They're worried about recruiting at heavyweight or upper weights, because let me tell you why. I have a list right now of every national champion at every weight I do have a list of every single national champion at every weight, but I have a list of every national champion over the last 10 years at a certain weight. And at 184, let me read to you these guys at 184. Starting in 2013, Ed Ruth, Penn State. Ed Ruth won again the following year. Gabe Dean won 2 years in a row of Cornell. Bo Nickel of Penn State won twice in a row. Then Drew Foster got the year. Then there was the 2020 year. Then Aaron Brooks won 2 in a row. Penn State has had Ed Ruth, Bo Nickel, Aaron Brooks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 titles at 184 they won. That's why they're worried about the upper weights, because they got the best coaches in the world. They have some of the best 84 and 97 pounder ever, Cale Sanderson, as the coach. So that's where their focus is. And I think that's why. Andrew just got the guide today. Love it. So happy, my friend, that you are loving the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. Thank you so much for purchasing the guide. It's fantastic. And I'm very happy that you're enjoying it. Michael, not quite, my friend. Steve says, got to stay hydrated. Tyler thinks I was a big State Patties Day guy. Yeah, State Patties Day was a fun holiday up at State College every single year. Always the most arrests every single weekend. Never failed. Do you think Wisconsin has the potential to shock some of the teams ranked ahead of them this season? Individually, do you feel any of them can get the job done to win NCAA? So let's look at Wisconsin's lineup and some of these guys that may or may not be able to get the job done. Okay. Let's get these dual meet rankings. So first of all, they have a really good lineup. Eric Barnett at 25, Taylor Lamont transferring in. We talked about that Berwick situation a little bit earlier. Joey Zargo, Austin Gomez, Garrett Model, Dean Hamidi, Braxton Amos, and Trent Hilger, all guys in the top 25. Do any of them have potential to get the job done? Probably the guy I would say the most potential. I mean, like, look at the bottom. Eric Barnett, he's a tough wrestler, not beating Spencer Lee. Taylor Lamont, tough wrestler, don't think he's beaten RBY. Dean Hamidi probably has the best chance out of these guys to win a national title, but it's at 165, and Hamidi can place anywhere from 1st to 8th to maybe not place. I think he's going to place this year, but it's just a tough weight. Austin Gomez, can he beat Yanni? Potentially, but Yanni beat him already, and I mean, he's a maybe he can toss him. I just don't know if I see it happening. Chance, what's your opinion on the App State Campbell SoCon battle? One of my favorite rivalries in all of college wrestling. Yeah, you got Penn State and Iowa. Yeah, you got Virginia Tech and NC State. But then you got Campbell and App State. And man, oh man, is this rivalry insane. Witnessing this in the packed gyms for multiple seasons in a row as I worked at Campbell was wild. This is personal. I mean, really personal. Because App State has kind of been and Chattanooga have been like the perennial like top teams in the SoCon that continuously won. Then Campbell, when Kolak got there, turned the team around, and now with Scotty Sentez as head coach, has continued that legacy of Campbell being a dominant team in the SoCon. I don't know if any other rivalries are as personal as that one, because Penn State and Iowa, it's like, yeah, that's business. I mean, NC State and Virginia Tech can get pretty personal at times, but I love it. I love it. Post notifications are on. Appreciate you, Josiah. You're the man. Awesome, Abel. Greatly appreciate that, my friend. B-Dog OG says, just got the guide. Freaking excited. I am freaking excited for you, B-Dog OG, because you got a lot of stats to dive into, my friend. Like I said, I spent weeks putting this together. I don't know how much, like, this is just something that you can look at every year. See, last year, I love the guide last year. It was really good. I think it was like 40 pages, just digital. This year is 94, 98, including like the first few pages, the intro and all that. But it didn't have as many stats. This year, I mean, this is really something you can reference all season. It's very evergreen. You're looking at the top contenders at every single weight. Who's at every single weight, the top pound for pound guys, records. You're looking at dual meets to watch throughout the entire season. So I'm very happy that you got the guide, B-Dog. Greatly appreciate that. Do you think Carr can beat Shane Griffith? Yes, I do. But I think Shane Griffith is continuously underrated. Nobody thought he was going to win. I think the only year people really thought he was going to win was 2020. He was a national qualifier, and I think he was undefeated that season, maybe one loss. But then people kept, like, underrating him the next year. There's no way he was going to win in 2021. Well, then he's, I don't say single-handedly saved Stanford wrestling, but yeah, he pretty much did. Last year, nobody expected him to make the national finals again as a returning national champion, and he made the finals against O'Toole. Do I think he can beat him? Yeah, I think he can. Do I think it will happen? Maybe. Next up, let's talk about Hodge Trophy. Who's my choice? Spencer, Yanni, or other? And I go into a video about this way more in as an exclusive bonus in my guide. So I'm going to leave that kind of in the air there, Barefoot Alex. But I will ask you, who do you think should win? Spencer Lee, Yanni, both, or somebody else? Those are the choices. Those are the choices. Do you think Bo will be a world champion in UFC? I don't follow the UFC enough to say he's going to be a world champ. I'm new into UFC. I've been interviewed by the UFC Fight Pass, which has been awesome, talking about college wrestling. But I think he has the potential. I mean, I've watched all of his pro fights so far, and Bo Nickel has, like, gone ham. I think the first fight of his, the guy was kind of like, he was kind of goofy, man. Like, I was, like, not surprised that Bo, I think he knocked him out, right? I wasn't shocked by it. But then his next couple fights were actually, like, they look like tough guys, and Bo, like, manhandled them. I think he has the potential to be a world champion, and I'd love to see it. Aaron says Lee was pinned. Yeah, he was pinned by Piccinini at the Oklahoma State duel. I understand that. He was pinned, so he doesn't deserve to be as ranked high enough. That's a good point. J-Vic says Yanni is that amazing, and he may never win a Hodge. Yeah, speaking to Barefoot Alex's question about the Hodge, it's possible that he may never win a Hodge. I would be shocked if he didn't this year. Let's look at some more questions here. Matthew thinks that Lee is one of the top wrestlers because of how he wins. He is so dominant, is he not? Unbelievable. Lincoln, I can ask Ferrari if he's coming back because him and his brothers wrestle at my club. Cool, Lincoln. Awesome that you get that high level of technique for him to wrestle your club. Go ahead and ask him. Let's keep looking. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody who bought the guide. Um, like I said, if you buy the guide tonight, I'm going to give you a shout out on the stream. So thank you for everybody who's bought the guide tonight. It's been awesome. Justin says it's going to be a great year. And yeah, it absolutely is. It's going to be a phenomenal year. Kyler says, have you heard any news from Penn State on Van Ness? We know that Van Ness is going to be wrestling this year, and he's going to be a top threat. I'm excited to see how he does this year. Does Kel have a chance to beat and surpass Gable? Yeah, I had a video about this last year. I literally went around the NCAA championships and asked people, who's the GOAT? Kale or Gable? And I believe Kale ended up winning that, or it was tied, or Kale ended up winning. But I think there's like a recency thing. I think people forget how good Gable was, not only as a competitor, but as a coach. Yeah, I think Kale can pass him up. It's going to take some time, though. It's going to take some time. Hello, it's me. Says, go Big Red. Awesome, my friend. Go Arizona, or go Cornell. I was looking at this next question. Ferraris end up at Arizona State. Is possible. Danger says he'd like to see a video talking about the best wrestling stage of the last 50 years. That'd be a fun one to look at. A lot of stats to dig into there. I did it over the last 20 years, and I believe Pennsylvania was number one in terms of national champions. And I'm sure they're probably up there with All-Americans, but you got your perennial states, Pennsylvania, Iowa, California, New Jersey, Ohio, New York even. Illinois is a really good state right now and has been. Those are your teams really to look out for. Where do I see Bo Bartlett finishing? Well, let's look at some of the comments here. Cruz Little says he sees Bartlett being a placer, not a finalist. Bartlett is an All-American contender. I think he is. I definitely think he is. Patrick says, I think I will win 6 out of 10 matches against Penn State and win the duel very closely. It'll be down to bonus points. Lee getting a tech is huge. Yeah, Lee doesn't just need a tech, though, Patrick. Lee needs a pin. Lee, you can count him down for bonus every single match this year. I think, though, more likely he gets the tech. And yeah, Iowa can win 6 out of 10. I did a whole video talking about, like, breaking down the entire dual meet. It's a bonus for my guide. I put it out actually a couple weeks ago as well. And yeah, it's going to be closer than people think. It's about the head-to-head matchups. Spanky says, Fanco Fanatics, we need to show Josiah some love for all he does and buy his guide. It's only $10 for the digital, and you'll love it. Yeah, and it's only $10 until this Sunday. This Sunday, if you don't get the guide by this Sunday, the price is going up, and you're not going to get access to my bonus videos. My bonus videos about RBY versus Spencer Lee, my Hodge Trophy, my interviews with Ridge Lovett and Rocky Elam. It's $10. Whether you buy and the physical copy is $20. I think it's well worth it for all the, not only the time I put into it, obviously, it's a great way to support the channel by getting it, but you're going to get so many stats that you don't get anywhere else. One convenient location. Oh, you're watching a wrestling match. Oh, where Chattanooga? Where the heck are who's their head coach? Oh, Kyle Rochelle. Clarion. I wonder how they did last year. Oh, they were 9-7. It's stats like that that I know you'll like. Jason says, I'm getting the physical copy later. Awesome, Jason. Greatly appreciate that, my friend. George Gilman says, Spencer Lee, the GOAT of all time. Justin, just order the guide on Amazon. Can't wait to get it. I can't wait for you to get it either, Justin. Thank you so much, my friend. I greatly appreciate you getting the physical copy. Charles Brown got the guide on Amazon. Can't wait for wrestling season. I am so thankful that you got the guide, my friend. I know you're going to love the physical copy. I'm so happy that I came out with the copy this year because the digital is great. And, I have a feeling that the physical copy is more for like the older crowd. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I like physical copies of things too to reference, and you can write in it. You can do whatever the heck you want in it. But thank you so much. George Gilman thinks Bo Nickel is going to be a great UFC fighter. Glad that these guys have somewhere to go after college. Yeah, I'm happy that they have somewhere to go after college too, George. I think Bo's going to be a great fighter. Charles Brown, Starachi, is he going to dominate this year? I think I think he'll dominate most of the field. I think Makai is going to be the biggest match. The thing about Starachi is he's been running his mouth lately. And do you think Starachi has the right to run his mouth? Honestly, I want to know because I'm not a fan of the trash talk. I know many people are. Many people are used to like the UFC and MMA and boxing world where people running their mouths, even those Jake Paul and Logan Paul fights, like people are smack talking. Starachi has talked. He's called out Makai Lewis, said, match ain't going the distance at the All-Star Classic. He better be prepared. Then he called out Kyle Dake for coming to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. And I'm shocked. I think he's earned his right to kind of run his mouth a little bit in college, but not on the world level. Not when you're going up against a gold medalist. I get feeling slighted by Dake coming by the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, kind of recruiting him in and saying, and Sriracha's probably like, man, I wanted to wrestle after. I wanted to contend for a world team. Why are you bringing Dake in? I get that, but I don't know. Do you like that or not? Michael, if y'all are new, go back and watch. Josiah makes phenomenal content. Thank you so much, Michael. This preseason has been insane. I made so much content. It was wild. I mean, just this past week, if you've been a part of my Ultimate Guide launch, you got NCAA storylines and stats, most elite wrestlers video, the top 25 team rankings, longest dual meet winning streaks, top freshmen to watch, a video answering your frequently asked questions, which is what I'm doing tonight. I did literally a weight by weight breakdown, every single weight class this season. It was insane. Patrick, Florida. Yeah, Florida's a tough team too. I'd say newer like wrestling state. And I'll tell you what, I would love to be a wrestler in Florida. We wrestled there in my senior year of high school. And it was a ton of fun because it was January and we were wrestling like it was snowing in Pennsylvania. We flew to Florida. It was nice outside. Their school was like outside. I think it was really cool. Anyway, yeah, I think Florida is a great place to wrestle. Pick to win the MAC. Ooh. Let me go to my conference rankings because I have some things I want to talk about here. I did not realize just how tough the MAC was this year before I took a look. Lock Haven is my pick. And I think I don't know if they'll go undefeated. I think likely, but as far as conference, competition, they have a really good team, multiple returning conference champions. Clarion and Ohio are both back with top teams, and Ryder's a top team. I think the team that's going to shock you, Sean, that isn't in the top 3 right now is Central Michigan. And shocked, you may be shocked because they're not in the top three, is what I mean. Because they've constantly been contending for that MAC title. But now you have some other teams coming in. And back to that question about like recruiting in your backyard, some of these teams like Ryder, right? A lot of these teams, they're losing out to like Ryder, New Jersey team losing out a lot of recruits like Big Ten schools like New Jersey. Clarion and Lock Haven PA schools losing out to Penn State and Pitt as far as like a lot of their PA guys. Central Michigan, similar thing, losing out to Michigan and Michigan State because it's just a smaller school, a smaller conference, but they have a lot of hard knocks in this entire conference. And like, this is going to be a conference to watch this year. Let's see. Yeah, I see a lot of comments about Starachi's talking that much. He should have won gold, no problem. I agree. Would he get bronze? Which is impressive, but still, Starachi isn't dominant enough to be talking as much as he is. Spanky said he loves Starachi talking because because Bo Nickel did it too. Yeah, Starachi going into MMA, he better get used to talking like that. And let's see, Chris Orvin just got the guide from Amazon. Thank you, Chris. I'm so glad that you ordered the guide and that you are enjoying it. Well, you will be enjoying it in a couple days when it's here, the physical copy. And it looks like we're near the end of the question. So I'm going to give it another couple minutes, everybody. And I appreciate you being on the stream tonight. By the way, if you are enjoying this stream tonight, if you enjoyed it, leave a fire emoji. Leave a fire emoji. So let's see. I'm about to get off in a minute here, guys. Unless one more person gets the guide from Amazon, if I will add a minute onto this stream for every guide purchase right now. So if I'll give it 3 minutes. I know for you old guys, that may be pretty too quick, but for every guide purchase within the next 3 minutes, I will add a minute onto the stream. If we get 10 guide purchases, I'll add 10 minutes on. Keep answering your questions. Michael, what is the name of the guide? It's the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. And Michael, I have a link to it in the description below. It's in the description of this video. It's also the pinned comment in the chat. Chance, what's your opinion on recruits like Joe Seeley and guys like Jax Forrest and Bo Bassett? I did a whole video about, first of all, it's awesome that they're getting guys like Joe Seeley, Penn State. Bo Bassett, I did a video on him being the next Spencer Lee. I love, the hype about him. I think it's awesome. And I am excited to see where he goes, what he does. I have a feeling he's going to end up at Penn State or Cornell just because I know he trains up at Penn State and his cousin's at Cornell. You never know. But I thought Spencer Lee was going to Penn State, but he ended up going to Iowa. Wasn't that shocking? Patrick, Patrick said he just bought the digital guide. We got one purchase, everybody. So I'll stay on for another minute here. Scott thinks Mizzou will win the title. If they get their guys from the blood round into the placement rounds, they have a shot. Last year, let's go here real quick. Last year, they had 2 placers, but just about every other one of their guys is capable of making the stand. And let's just say, okay, so let's say they get the same as last year, but then you get Zach Elam, Peyton Mako, Brock Mahler, Alan Hart, and Noah Surden all into the placing rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra guys. And right now, remember, I have them at 70 points. 5 guys just placing from the blood round to 8th. That would be 15 additional points plus 0.5 wins in the consies. So about 17, 18 points. Let's just say one of them gets bonus. So 20 extra points, let's say, about if they get 5 of their guys into the next round. That bumps them up to all the way to number 2. And these guys have made the blood round before. And now with the mass exodus of seniors, it's possible. They have a blood round curse. Yeah, they do. Bobby said just add it to my cart, but have to wait till Friday though. Hey, you know what, Bobby? Thanks for letting me know. I'll add on the extra minute for you just because, sometimes paychecks don't come in and I get that. Wait until Friday to get it. And I really hope that you enjoy it then when you do get it. So I'll keep staying on for a little bit. Let's see. Patrick says, Chemdog went to Cornell. Yeah, he did. He went to Cornell. He is now coaching there. And so it's somewhat of a surprising move, but cool to see. I think Cornell's got a really, really good program. This is a fun one, Scott. Josiah saving college wrestling. I'm doing my best, my friend, to keep college wrestling alive. Glick Brickley says, I have one on my cart too. Need to find 501 more for free shipping. Well, an option if you have, if I'm assuming you're getting the physical copy. As if you're getting the physical copy, you could get a copy for your friend, maybe, or a copy for one of your family members to give out as a gift. That's what I'll be doing. People were joking that I was going to be giving out my guide as Halloween candy the other day, which is really funny. But no, Jonathan, where do you buy the guide? You can get the guide at the link in the description. There's a pinned comment, or in the description, you can find the link. Yeah, insults, thoughts on Ohio State wrestle-offs, 165 specifically. I talked about this at the beginning of the show tonight, and the thing that was crazy is Carson Hartzell lost to Hepner. I'm not that shocked by wrestle-offs just because these guys wrestle each other every day. Hepner's a tough wrestler. Hartzell's a tough wrestler. He was an All-American. They see each other in the room every day. I'm still not convinced. Hepner will get the start at the beginning of the year, but it can still change. JP, does Soriano still have eligibility? What's he up to? No, he does not have eligibility. And right now he's training with the Cliff Keen Wrestling Club in Michigan. Aaron, just ordered the paper copy and can't wait to read it. Can't wait for all the new videos to come out. Look forward to this college season. Right now, we're staying on until 8:10 with everybody buying the guide right now. And I'm excited for you to check it out too, Aaron. Thank you so much for your support and for buying the guide. Falcon, you're right. Soriano is wrestling freestyle for the Olympics. And I hope that nothing else bad happens to him like it did last time. Oh, what a mess that was. What a mess that was with all that happened. Mark, you're asking what happened with AJ. You just logged on. Yeah. So basically, AJ, he got in his car accident in January. Then he was dismissed from the team in July based off some things that happened off the mat. He's dealing with legal issues. I don't know if he still is, but he was. And now it seems like he's training MMA, maybe looking at WWE, helping his brother out, maybe doing some coaching. But right now he's not going to, he's not returning this semester, I'll say. Would he transfer out somewhere? Maybe, but that's as of right now. Jonathan just bought the hard copy and extended the stream another minute. Thank you so much, my friend, for getting the hard copy. I'm excited for everybody to get their hard copies because that was something new I added this year and was a ton of fun to put together. And I know that you're going to love this on your coffee table. Let's see what else we got here. Any extra questions? Like I said, I had 600 questions to go through. 600. Can can anyone stop Spencer Lee or Yanni? Um, Spencer Lee or Yanni will. I don't see it happening. Could it happen? Sure. I don't think so. I think the best chance to beat Spencer is probably Vito. The best chance to beat Yanni is probably Austin Gomez. Don't think either of those are going to happen. Yeah, you know what, Mayor? All right. You get your minute dedicated to you, Penn, just because I know you're such a big Penn fan. Okay. So Penn got a good team this year. Got a good team. Right now, by Intermat, they have 9 out of 10 guys ranked. Their highest ranked guy is CJ Composto, who's top 4 at 141 pounds. And right now, as we know, Mayor, that 141 is pretty open. Anybody can win that. Nick Lee's out of the field this year, and that weight, yeah, Cole Matthews and Roe Woods are at the top, but Composto is a serious guy to compete at the weight. Michael Kolioko, I can like never pronounce his name, and I'm so sorry about that. I think he's a solid guy to All American at 133. Many of these guys actually are like right within All American placement. Anthony Arnolona and Doug Zaff, both of those guys as well. And Doug Zaff, especially at 157, now that Ja'Cory Teamer is seemingly out this year, Zaff can join and make the stand. So I hope that answers some of your things, Mayor Evan Bull, because I think Penn's going to be a good team. And you know what? While we're on that, I guess let's look at how they're going to do. I projected their conference dual meet record at 15-1. I mean, they don't wrestle all these teams, but I did projections based on them wrestling every single team, and I have them at 15-1. The only team I'd say that they can't beat is Cornell. And I don't know. Do you agree that they'll beat Cornell or that they won't beat Cornell? I'm interested. I think they'll compete against them, but I don't think they necessarily have the firepower to do it. Luke DeSantis just ordered the Fanco guide. Can't wait till it comes in. Luke, I cannot wait for it to come in for you too. It's going to be awesome once you start digging through that. I mean, this is the first weekend of college wrestling too, to be digging into it. The Battle at River City is the big one. Oregon State and Lehigh is a huge dual meet happening this weekend. I have a video coming out tomorrow about everything you need to know about the season and some of the things that are actually going on this weekend. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, my friend. Thank you for ordering the guide. Falcon, if Yanni continues to have some nuts, Sasso is not beating him. Yeah, I don't know if anybody can beat him if he continues to, as he said, have some nuts. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. And thank you, everybody who's been getting the guide in these last couple minutes. Who will win at heavyweight? My pick right now is Colton Schultz, and I think he's being underestimated by a lot of fans. I'm not like he had a good match against Gable last year, and I don't think that's anything to compare it against. I'm more comparing him against how things are going to turn out in the field. And if you saw my heavyweight prediction, then you know that excuse me, I lost my train of thought. I've been going on streaming for 2 hours here. That I think that Schultz will make the finals, and actually, Cassiopeia has a chance to, but I don't know if he's going to be able to overcome a Mason Paris. And so I think that Schultz ends up making the finals. Kirkfleet's kind of my dark horse. I heard that maybe he was dealing with some injury again, and I hope he's not. Yeah, I hope he's not. And my friends, let me check these guides again. Well, it's been fun tonight. If anybody has any last lingering question, I'll give you one more minute to get that in, and maybe I can do a little speed round for you. While we're looking at that, let's go through some speed rounds before I log off tonight. Which random school will have an NCAA finalist? My answer is Wyoming, Stephen Buchanan. Can Shane Griffith surprise us again? Yeah, he's done it before. He'll do it again. What can we expect from Spencer Lee? One word: dominance. Which program has made the biggest leap this year? Ohio State. Who's your favorite freshman to watch? Patty Gallagher of Ohio State at 157. What's up with AJ Ferrari? He's out. Is Gable Steveson returning? No, I don't think so. Who is an underrated team? Pitt. How can you watch wrestling? Multiple ways to watch. If you don't have cable, probably Hulu Live TV is the best. Otherwise, Flow Wrestling and ESPN Plus. Jason psyched because the McRib is back. Glick said, order place. I'm pumped and I'm glad to get a physical copy so I can browse while at a meet or tournament is on. It's perfect. And if you're traveling, like you can carry it with you. You can go through it. If you're at a tournament, you can check it out. Yeah, I'm so glad, Glick, that there's a physical copy too, and I'm glad that you liked it. Falcon says, "Have a good night, Josiah. Thanks for the amazing live stream." Thank you, Falcon, for joining the stream. Have a good night as well. Try Guy says no. My wife says no to the coffee table when it comes. Yeah, I doubt I'm even going to be able to keep it on the coffee table either. Try, but maybe sneak it on there every now and then, or just on the Friday night duels. Come on, we got to be able to leave it there. Will Maryland finally win a duel? Yes. And I think one of their top guys, Jackson Smith, top freshman, is going to be able to help them. And yeah, Big Ten Network Plus will get you a bunch of awesome duels as well. And those are all the speed round questions, my friends. We went through tonight, and I greatly appreciate everybody being a part of this stream, everybody getting the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season tonight. While we're logging off, in the description below, if you want to check that link out, you don't have to, if you click the link, you don't have to buy it. You can just check out all the information I have on it again. Again, that's the ultimate guide to the college wrestling season. I had an amazing time tonight. I'm losing my voice now, but answering all of your questions. It was a fantastic kickoff to the season, a fantastic kickoff to this. Thank you, Jason, for saying this was an A+ stream because I had such a blast. Again, let me give you a quick reminder for anybody who is just joining. Northwestern at my top 10 rankings. Northwestern number 10, Nebraska 9, Minnesota 8, Michigan 7, Cornell 6, Mizzou 5, Arizona State 4, Ohio State 3, Iowa 2, and Penn State at number 1. Thank you, everybody, for joining the stream tonight. Thank you, Jonathan, for saying nice job. And yeah, I can't wait to carry around a giant photo of you. How dang funny is that? And for the Fanco Wrestling Show, I hope I answered all your questions tonight. If not, you know what? Send me an email. We'll talk soon. Have a good night, everybody. Drive safe.